with the training tonight. If you just got on, I was just going through everything. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Try and keep yourself muted so that way we don't get any feedback. We are recording the training tonight, so if you miss anything or want to rewatch it, we're going to be putting that up on our YouTube channel and maybe our Facebook page as well, but we'll send an email link out to everybody once we have it up either tomorrow or the next day to let you know how you can watch that again as many times as you want. But I do want to talk a little bit about summer camp training. So if you are here, you're probably interested in how the online system works and how you do registration for summer camp. So I want to walk everyone through that today and give you basically all the ins and the outs to show you how that works on my screen. We use Tenor Registration, which is the company that we go through for registration at Camp Frontier. And you can log into your account, and everyone should have an account if you're registered for summer camp. It'll show your registration and everything right there when you log in. You should be able to see my screen here, and to log in, you go to our website. So you're going to go to www.psrweb.org, which is the main website for Camp Frontier, Pioneer Scout Reservation. And to log in, you just log in with the button up here in the corner. When you click that button up here in the corner, that's going to bring you to your login screen in a separate window that's going to look like this. And if you don't know your login and you want to do your forgot password, that's the easiest way to get your login information. It's going to ask you your email address, and as long as the email address that's associated with your account is the one that you put in, it should be able to find it, and it should be able to send you a reset link for your account if you want to reset the password. If it's saying that it cannot find your account based on the email address, you can send me a quick email and let me know, and I can verify what email address and person is on that account for you. It may be that it was somebody from the past in your troop who no longer works with the troop anymore. We can get that stuff switched over to a new person, but it's always important to use the same account for the troop and switch it over to the new person versus creating a new account, because all of your past records and data stay with that account. So every time you attend summer camp or anything else you do with Air Resource Council and the events thing, that data is going to stay there. So merit badge records, things like that are all accessible through that account, even past ones from past summers. So it's important to keep using that account. There's also a need for separate accounts per troop. So if you guys have a linked troop with a boys troop and a girls troop, it would be 2 separate accounts, one for each troop, and each one would have their own registration. And that's the way it should be set up in the system. If you have any questions about that, again, shoot me an email and I can help you out. My email address is actually right here. It's my username. So that's there. I'll put it in the chat as well before I leave, so that way you guys can grab it if you need it. But I'm going to log in and take a look here. My window is going to look a little bit different than yours when you log in, just because I'm logged in as an admin. So I have some other things going on here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up, and this part you guys won't see. It won't look like this for you, what I'm doing right now. But I will show you what it will look like. So I actually have an account in here just for PSR. And we use this one registration here to actually hold sites for our Arrow of Light camp. So I'm going to be using this one today to show you what the system looks like. But when you log into the system, you're going to see these buttons here on the side, minus these admin ones. You will not see those. But you'll see your home button, your events button, facilities, cart, settings, and help. You're also going to see up here in the corner, it won't say Pioneer Scout Reservation, it's going to say your troop number. Something that we added and something that the system added in the last year was the ability to assign either it being a boys troop or a girls troop. So most of you will probably see a B or a G after your troop number. That is just there in the system to let us know if you're a boys unit or a girls unit coming out to camp, and it's just attached to your account. So that's what that means if you see it. If you don't see that, it means that you're probably new to us and it was right before it got switched over, and you just need to make that adjustment when you guys have a chance, because we don't know if you're a boys unit or a girls unit yet. But when you log in to your main account, again, you'll see your troop number up there. You'll have up here at the top events and trips. Events are things like summer camp. Trips would be if you're doing any weekend reservations with us. So if you have any weekend reservations at Neoconda or Pioneer Scout Reservation, those will show up there. But we're not concerned about that today. We're just concerned about summer camp. Should show your summer camp reservation right when you log in right here. As you can see, this one's for week 7 of summer camp. It's going to show you your camp date. It's going to show a total balance that you owe based on what the system is programmed in there for. Now, we're going to talk about how to adjust that later on tonight, but this is just a basic snapshot right now to see what that looks like. Down here, another important piece of information is the registration for when you're able to start logging in and adding merit badges and names to the spots that you have for camp. So for example, week 7 registration is opening for those on June 4th at 4 p.m. Almost all weeks open on a Sunday at 4 p.m., but they're spaced out. They're not all the same per camp week. It's about 6 weeks before your time at camp. The only ones that don't happen on a Sunday are holiday weekends. So Mother's Day would happen on the Monday after, and Memorial Day would happen on the Tuesday after. But other than that, all of the rest of them are on a Sunday. And you can find your own personal one when you log in right there. The first thing I do want to talk to you about, though, before we dive into the summer camp stuff, is I want to talk a little bit about managing your profile. So we're going to click here on the side that says Manage Profile. Why I want to talk about this is going to show you some information for what we have down for your troop. Some of it's information that you're not able to change. I can change it. I'm an admin, but you probably won't be able to on your end. But some of it you can change, and you can update it for us. So we use this system for giving out emails as well. So anytime we want to send out a direct email to everybody coming to summer camp, this is the system we use, and you have the ability to edit those email addresses on the list through this right here. So for example, as you can see, every time I send out a summer camp update for week 7 of summer camp or the entire summer camp, it's going to send it to me at stephenporter@scouting.org. You have the ability to put in a primary contact. So this is the main person for the account. You can go in and edit these things. So you can change names, emails, phone numbers, addresses. That's also really important for us. So the reason why we'd like to collect an address for your troop is one, at the end of the year, some troops get refunds for overpayments, or we'll cut checks back or things like that. This is that address we're going to look for in your account. So make sure that's up to date as well. That one's important, or make sure you have one in the system. Sometimes we also send out just like postcard reminders and things throughout the winter to people talking about summer camp for the next season. So we'll also look for the addresses in the system here. So make sure you list an address that's the one where you're going to want to receive those things at for your troop. Email, whatever email is listed here is the main email for the account. So if it's switching over to somebody else, that would be where you'd want to put that email. So that way another person could reset their password, log in, whatever they want to do. Phone number, also great. If we're at summer camp and you guys haven't shown up yet, or we have questions, our last ditch effort is to get on the phone and try and give you a call. So please include at least one phone number for us, so that way we can reach out to you as well. Down here below is a spot for an alternative contact or alternate contact. This you can list the name and phone number and email are optional, but the email address, you can list an additional person to receive those emails that we send out for summer camp. So every time we send an email out, it's going to go to this one and to this one, not just for summer camp, but anything for the entire, basically we send anything out through any of our information, it goes through here. So if you're registered for other things, it'll also send it out that way if we choose to use it. So update that, add an alternate contact, so that way more than one person's receiving emails. And I'm going to show you how you can add 2 more just for your summer camp reservation as well later on tonight. So you can actually have up to 4 people receiving emails in your troop, so that way nobody misses out on information. Email is our primary form of communication. That's how we send out reminders and information about summer camp. So make sure you have an email address filled out in here, so that way we can get in touch with you and let you know. So that's what you do there. Whatever you do here, just make sure you hit Save Changes when you're done, and then it'll save it, and it'll take you right back to the home screen here. So that's there. The other thing I want to talk to you about is, let's see, we'll talk a little bit about managing your summer camp reservation. So going in to your summer camp reservation, all you have to do is click on it. And that's going to open up your main reservation screen. So this is the screen that you're going to be seeing that has all the information about your summer camp reservation coming up this summer. Again, up at the top, it's going to show you your week number. It'll tell you what the week is. So that's the actual session. There's a link to the leaders guide and to the website here. If you want to click those, it'll open up those downloads. You will not have any buttons that have a little red A. Those are admin buttons, so you won't see that one. But you will see this financial summary. So the financial summary is going to show you your total amount that you have due at this current time, right up to the date. So if there's anything still due, it would show up here. So I'm still showing the due because I haven't made any payments for this one technically. And I'm telling them I'm bringing, 16 people out to camp. So that's there. You can also click here and you can use this drop-down caret to see how much you've paid so far. So applied payments. So you can see that nothing's paid here. Now, if you log in, most of you should see $100 paid already. That'll be your site deposit. So it should at least show your site deposit paid here as an applied payment. So that'll already be there. I'm going to show you another way to pull an invoice report as well, which is going to give you a lot more details as to what's been paid. But that's that first box there. As you scroll down, you're going to see your registration and then your spots. So we have 3 different meal plans at camp, A, B, and C. You will be registered for one of these meal plans. So you shouldn't see spots in multiple lines. It should only be in one. So for example, this one's registered for plan A and it has 16 spots. You can also think of spots like tickets for camp. They're, a ride to come to camp, a pass to come to camp, but they don't have a name attached to them yet. So it's just a spot. So right now we're planning on 16 for this group. Right now I don't have any leaders there yet. I'm going to show you how you can update that. So these spots right here are what dictate how much is owed up here based on that, and then how much has been paid. So that I'm going to show you how to manage in just a little bit. But keep in mind that you may look at your bill and go, well, that's way too much money. Well, you may need to adjust your spots. You may have told us that you were bringing more people and you're actually only bringing 10. So you need to adjust those down and it'll adjust your total due. You can always adjust your spots up and down as much as you want, as long as they're unpaid. Once you pay for a spot though, it is yours to keep. We don't do refunds on spots that are paid for. The only refund request you can do is for like a medical or family emergency, but if the scout decides they just don't want to come anymore, that spot is still yours. Now you can give it to another scout. So if you find another scout to replace that scout who wants to come and you haven't purchased theirs yet, you can just swap them out. But once you pay for a spot, it is yours. So keep in mind when you're trying to pay for all these spots by the early bird deadline here coming up in April, only purchase spots that you know for sure are going to be used for camp. If anybody's on the fence, it's better just to wait and pay for those later on so you don't get stuck with a spot that you're not going to use. And that'll just be at the regular rate. So it's $20 more outside the early bird rate. That's how that works. If you scroll down a little further, it's going to show you your campsite. This is actually the sites I'm just holding for Arrow of Light Camp. So they're held in the system. So that's what I'm using this for. But it should only show one campsite down here for you guys. If you have a platform site, it's going to show the platforms in parentheses. If there's no platform parentheses, means you're not in a platform site. So that's the difference between those two. And then if there are platforms, it's going to list you how many are there. So that's how those platform sites work. So your campsite should be listed down here at the bottom. That's how you find that. Keep on scrolling. You can see I haven't paid my deposit yet. So it's going to say, please add $100 before adding participants to your cart. So if you don't have at least $100 paid, it is not going to let you register for badges when that opens. So make sure that you at least have your deposit paid. You do not have to pay for spots to register for them. We will allow you to register them and pay later, but you do need to have a deposit paid. So you have to have at least $100 paid towards this in order to be able to add in names and merit badges when that opens for your system. And then that's where you're going to do this down here. I'll show you that a little bit later as well, but I'm just kind of orienting you to the main screen. As you scroll down a little bit further, you're going to see products. We'll talk a little bit about site equipment and then also some other products as well in the system. But that's where those will show up down here if you have any of those. So that's your main screen. But I'm going to scroll all the way back up to the top, and we're going to first make an adjustment. So I'm going to bring a couple leaders to camp. So I know I'm going to bring them and I want to add them to my invoice. So I'm going to do that right now. So you can do that through 2 different ways. You can either hit the manage button here and it'll walk you through the prompts. You can also hit this manage spots button. That's going to do the same thing. So either one works. So I'm going to hit manage spot. and it's going to take me to a screen that looks like this. So here I can scroll down and I can see my Plan A spots. I can make those go up or down, but I'm going to leave those at 16 right now. And then I've got my leaders right here. So I'm going to add 3 leaders because I'm bringing 3 leaders out to camp. So I'm going to add those in. If I keep scrolling down, there's another option down here. This stuff right here, these admin ones, not going to see those for you guys. Those are for me to make notes and things. But you do have this primary event contact and alternate contact for your summer camp reservation. These can be separate people than the ones that are listed in your primary event contact. So if you want to list 2 additional people here, you can have them here to also receive those emails when we send out those emails about summer camp reminders and information. You can also just copy them from your main profile if you want to. So I can do that and it'll bring them right in. But if you want to list alternatives here, it's not going to hurt, and we're going to always look at all the contacts if we try and reach out to you via phone or something like that. So this is a way to list a few more in here and have them get those emails for summer camp. So I'm going to do that here. Just I'll put that in as a suggestion, but what I really wanted to do is just update these spots. So I added those 3. You have to go through all the prompts when you go through any of these adjustments. So I'm going to hit the next button. It's going to take me to options. I don't think you guys are going to see any of these option things. These are for us internally in the office to do adjustments, so you're not going to have to worry about that. Products, this is another way for us to add things on for your invoice, but you guys will see these ones right here. So you're going to see the equipment ones on your list when it goes to that. So basically we offer equipment in your campsite, and you can request campsite equipment to be there when you guys show up. So we move a lot of our equipment around between the weeks. So if you want things in your site, you do have to make a request. My recommendation, strong recommendation, don't do this right now. Just keep skipping through it. Don't add anything right now because you may not know exactly what you need. You can always add, but the way that it's set up, it won't let you delete them. You have to ask us to delete them down. That's okay. Send us an email. We're happy to do it. But it's a lot easier to wait until like 2 or 3 weeks before your camp date to put your equipment requests in, because we really just need them like the week before. So I would recommend waiting until you know what you want, but that gives you a good list to understand what's there. We do offer, so we offer cots, adult leader cots, these equipment camp cots that are more for like tents with scouts. They're a smaller one, but they would fit an adult as well. We have stoves available, so if you don't want to lug the stove with you in the troop trailer, we can get those for you, and you can request these. There's no additional charge for any of this. This is just letting us know how much you want on the site, so that way we can set up your site accordingly. Because anything you request here is going to be waiting in your site to be set up when you get there, so you'll be able to put it together. So they'll be in the bag still. They're not going to be set up, but you'll be having them ready to go. If you do get to camp though and you need a few extra, just let your site guy know. We'll take care of it. But this lets you have it right when you're there, so you can just get started setting up right away. These canvas tents, make sure you read the note on these. So if you have a platform site, those are already going to be in your campsite. You don't need to request for platform tents for these. You can request these though if you'd like to set them up with ropes and stakes additional in your site, or if you have a field site and you want to use these instead. They do not have floors, so keep that in mind. A lot of people will use these and bring like a ground cloth to put on, but they come with a ridge pole and then a pole that goes here, and then you stake out the side. So they are available if you want to use those, and then you would probably want to request a cot, one of these, to go inside of those. But I recommend bringing a ground cloth if you're going to use those. But if you have platform ones, you do not need to request these. They're already going to be there based on the numbers that are there. Equipment as well, dining flies. We have 10 by 12 dining flies that fit over one picnic table, so we have those available to request. Patrol boxes. These are empty, but they're going to come ready to be set up. So if you want to use these when you're cooking, you don't have one with your troop and you want to store your pots and pans or things in them, that's a great thing to get in your site to help store things, so you don't have to keep going back to the troop trailer to get stuff out. Picnic tables. Request as many as you think you need for your troop. They seat 8 to 10 people. We'll get those in your site ready to go, but we do have, we have plenty of picnic tables out at camp, but if we have a very large troop out on one of our sites, we're going to add more there. So let us know how many you think you're going to need. So that way we can move them around in case you decide you need a lot because maybe you have a really large unit. We do have propane available as well. So these are 30-pound tanks to run a lantern or a grill or something, or those stoves that you can request. We'll refill them as many times as you need. They are free of charge. So if you don't want to go fill up propane tanks, you just want to use ours, put a request in for those. That is all the equipment you can request. But again, I recommend doing that later. So I'm not going to request any of this right now. I'm just going to hit next. Because remember, I just wanted to update my spot. Here, you're not going to be able to do much. This is where I can do things, but you're just going to see your campsite probably, but it's not going to be editable. And then we're going to go to next to the confirmation, and it's going to ask us, like, what do we want to do? Do we want to pay for this right now, or what we're adding, or do we want to just add it? So no matter if you pay for something or not, you always have to process your cart. So since I'm adding 2 or 3 adults, I'm adding 3 adults, I still need to process my cart. I'm not going to pay anything right now, though. I want to pay later. So I just need to process them with a pay minimum required amount of 0. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to hit complete. And it's going to take me back to the main screen. And now at this point in time, I can make additional changes, edit, and add those to the cart. Or if I'm done, that's all I want to do, I just need to check out. So it says there are changes in my cart. So if you ever see this really big red box, that means that there are changes in your cart that are not finalized yet. So that's something that you want to talk about when we're talking about merit badges and things like that. Keep that in mind too, that if you ever see this, things aren't set in stone yet. We got to process our cart, even if we're paying $0. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to hit the checkout button. We can hit this caret right here if we want to see what we're doing. It's just an event registration update, but if we're doing like merit badges, things like that, it'll give us more detail there. I'm going to scroll down. This information here, it just pulls it right from your profile account. You don't really need to do anything with that. You can just scroll right past it. It should already be filling it in based on the stuff. This you won't have. I have this, but that's just for me. You'll just see a place order button. So you'll go all the way down and you'll hit a place order. And that's going to take you right back to the main screen, and it'll say order submitted. So it'll take you right back home to your main screen again, which is right here. And now you're back with your summer camp thing. If you're all done making changes, you don't have to do anything else. If you want to go back in and look at some stuff, just click it again and it takes you back. Notice that our total went up for what we owe because we added some leaders. So that is adjusted now. It's different. So that's the way that worked. When you are making payments online, so if you do want to make payments, you can either choose to pay off your full bill, or you can choose to pay another amount and type it in. Like if you just wanted to pay your deposit right now, you could type in $100 and hit save, and it'll add that to your cart. Notice when you add it to the cart, something to look at. It added $100 here, and then it added a credit card convenience fee of $2.48, which is our credit card processing that we get charged. So we do charge a processing fee for credit card transactions. We do not charge a credit card processing fee for e-check transactions, which you can also do online with the Troop Checkbook. You can also pay in person for things, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second. And you can send us a check in the mail or pay in the Scout Shop if you're local, and we can get those applied, and those don't have a credit or processing fee either, but it automatically adds the credit card processing fee to our bill as a default. So if I go to my cart and check out, it's going to show these right here. Now you won't have these remove buttons. I do, at least the one for the credit card processing fee. But notice if you go all the way down here, it'll give you the option to put all your credit card information in and pay that way, which you could. Or if you select e-check, you won't have this one. I have that one. If you select e-check and you want to do it with your checking account for the troop, which all you need is the routing number and account number off the bottom of a check. You don't need to use an actual check. You just need that information and the bank information. You'll notice that the second I switched it to e-check, if I scroll back up to the top, it no longer has that credit card processing fee. It's automatically removed that. So that's how that works. So if you do want to pay with e-check and don't want to pay that credit card processing fee, just switch it over and then it will remove it right there. But I'm not going to do this right now. I'm actually going to go back because I don't want to pay anything right now, and I'm going to just empty my cart. So I'm going to click on my cart right now, I'm just going to empty it out again and not do those changes, and it'll just go back to that main screen. So that's how the credit card processing and all that works for paying for camp. If you do decide that you want to do a paper check and mail that in, or you want to bring it into the Scout Shop, we ask that you bring the fee transmittal form with your payment, so that way we know how to log things into the system. Go back to the PSR website. Here's our summer camp tab. And right here is our forms and links. If you click here, this is also a form that's in the back of the Leader's Guide, but you can find it just available online as itself in the Leader's Guide links here. And the fee transmittal form is right here. So you could download this, fill out what you're paying for. So how many spots you're paying for, adult spots, youth spots. Pricing's available here, so you can look that up at the bottom. That's how that works. If you want to do partial leaders, so if you're coming out to camp and you need to register leaders who are only coming for part of the week, you can do that a couple ways. If you want to pay with a check and you just want to send it in, you can just fill out the fee transmittal form and send it with your check. The partial per day rate is right here. So depending on your meal plan. And then you just need to list the leader's name, how many days they're coming, and then multiply it by what meal plan to get your total. We need to plug these into the system manually. So if you want to do partial leaders and you want to pay online, all you need to do is send me an email with the leader's name and how many days, and we'll get it plugged in on our end, and it'll adjust your invoice appropriately. Then you can go in and make payment. But that's how those partial leaders work. And make a note of the rule for partial leaders. So we count days Monday through Friday. We don't worry about Sundays and Saturdays. Those are check in, check out. So it's full days Monday through Friday that they're coming out to camp. And we'll let you guys figure out, if you got somebody coming middle, whatever, we trust your judgment on that. Just let us know that and how many days, and we'll plug it in. If you have 2 leaders splitting a week, so if you have leaders sharing a week and they're coming out to camp and they're a direct share, let us know when they're splitting, and basically, like, let's say they're switching on Wednesday. We'll charge the first leader for 3 days. We'll charge the other leader for 2 to make a total of 5, because basically this fee is just the leader fee divided by 5. It is rounded up, so it might be like $1 or $2 different, $1 or $2 more, but it like at the end of the day, but it's just basically this divided by 5 and rounded to the nearest dollar. That's how that works. So that's how that works on that end. If you do have camperships awarded, you'll find that out via email, and we will actually program those into your system automatically. But if you're going to pay via check, this just lets us know that why your check was less than what it normally would be for that many scouts. But that's the fee transmittal form there. And that's only for paper payments, like if you're doing mailed in check or in person in the Scout Shop. If you're paying online, we don't need that filled out. All right, so I think we talked about that. I'm just looking at my list right now to see what else we haven't talked about yet. Free leader calculation. So the system is automatically going to calculate your free leaders for you. Every troop gets 1 free leader right off the bat for signing up for camp. So that's going to be automatically taken off of this amount. So it's not charging us for that right now, and I'll show you that in just a second on the invoice. And then for every additional 10 scouts you say you're bringing, paid or not, at any point, if you say in here you're bringing them, it's going to automatically calculate an additional free leader for every 10. So if you bring 10 scouts or more, between 10 and 19, you're going to get 2 free leaders total. You bring 20 to 29, 3 free leaders total, and it's going to go on and on from that. If for some reason you said, for example, like right now, it's calculating 2 free leaders in this price. If I decided I was only bringing 9 scouts and I made that go down to 9, it'll automatically now charge me for another one. Let's say that you paid for all 3 of these leaders, because right now I'm getting 2 free and 1 that I'm paying for, so it's only charging me for 1. Let's say I went up to 20 spots. I actually found 4 more kids to come to camp. It will credit us that amount on the invoice. And if you already paid in full for everything, it will just leave it as a credit on your account. And you can either use that as you're paying for merit badge fees later on when you register, or if you don't use it up there, any amount that's showing up on your account at the end of camp, if it's an overage, will get cut back to your troop and a check as a refund. So we'll get that money back to you one way or another, either if it's used up or if you have a bunch left over, we'll get it back. So that's how that works. Remember, so this is new for anybody who's come out to camp a lot. We used to charge an additional site fee of $100. Now it is a deposit. So make sure that you're taking that off. So if you're filling out your fee transmittal form and you have not deducted your deposit yet, do that, but only deduct it once, obviously. But it is a deposit now that goes towards your first camper. So if you paid your $100, you'll be $100 less in your total check. If you accidentally pay an additional $100 because you didn't know yet that you forgot to deduct it, again, that'll sit on the account. That's fine. But remember that if you haven't deducted it yet, remember to do that, because that's new this year from what we're usually doing. So if you're coming out to camp and you've come out for years, that may be something that you have to think about that you don't normally have to think about. All right, we talked about making online payments. We talked about where you can make adjustments to your spots and get those updated. Next thing I want to talk about is we're going to talk about merit badge registration, which I think is what most people are interested in, is how does that work? So merit badge registration is first come, first serve. So that is how that works. We do have age restrictions on some badges, so that limits how many people are able to actually qualify to take those. Information on all of that is in the Leader's Guide. So if you go to the website and click the Leader's Guide link and download the latest copy, I believe, let's see, it's somewhere down here in the middle. Let me find it. So the one you want to look at is right here, the merit badge offerings on page 27 and 28. There's also a listing here that shows like a class listing that shows you kind of like when things are offered. This is kind of nice to look at too if you're trying to schedule. But this one right here, same exact information, it just offers more. It also lets you know the class size, prerequisite, minimum age, if there is one. So you can see like first aid has a 12-year minimum age. And then a cost for the badge. So if there's an additional cost for supplies, and those will be charged through the Tenor system. So that information is all listed here. If you want to find that, I recommend printing these off when you do your merit badge night and having scouts look at these. And then what I recommend doing when you're having scouts select what badges they want to do is have them pick a schedule, and they can do up to 5 badges. They have a 9, a 10, and 11 o'clock spot, and then a 2 and a 3 in the afternoon. Have them come up with their ideal schedule, but also have them come up with a couple alternatives that they would like to do other than that ideal schedule. So that way, when you're in the system and you're trying to register for badges and you see that what they want is already full, you have that alternative to go in there and grab it right away. So that way you're not trying to call a scout on the phone, figure out what they want to do, and wasting time when other people are trying to get things in. I'm going to show you some other things too on how you can set yourself up for success with badges, because I know a lot of people were concerned with that first come, first serve. When you log in, we'll go back to that. The first thing you're going to do is you'll see that you have spots here available. So we have 16 spots available for badges for scouts. We also now have 3 leader spots available. When you go to add a participant, either with this button or this button, doesn't matter, it'll take you to the same screen. It's going to take you to your roster. Your roster is anybody who's already plugged in. I highly, highly recommend putting your roster in ahead of time. You can do that now if you want to. Your roster is always available to put people in. You're not signing them up for camp. You're just adding them to a list of people you can pull from. So that way you're not hitting new youth each time and typing this information in, because that's going to take a lot of time. So I recommend plugging your scouts in ahead of time. It asks for a lot of information when you put people into your roster. You do not need to fill out all of this information. The only information that summer camp is going to require to move forward is the name, first and last, date of birth. The reason we collect that is that's how it's going to keep track of if you can take a badge or not. So if there's an age restriction for a badge, it's going to use this date of birth to see how old the scout is. The way the system works on that is it's their date, it's how old they are on the first day of summer camp. So that Sunday when you get to camp, it's going to either limit or not limit. So if you got one that's turning 14 the day before camp starts, it will let them register for a 14 up badge. But if they're returning 14 in the middle of the week, it will not. If you do have scouts who are turning of age in the middle of the week, we do have the ability, and we will make exceptions for most badges unless there's a specific rule with BSA that doesn't allow for that. Like, for example, ATV, you must be 14 when you start that. You cannot be any younger, and it can't be a middle of the week type of thing. But let's say like camping might have an age restriction of 12. What my rule is for that is we're going to let everyone sign up. And then once the system closes, right before your pre-camp leaders meeting, let me know if anybody's still looking and they're on the cusp of it. And as long as there's space in the class, usually we can make an arrangement and just get them put into that class. But we let the other scouts who are of age first have that first grab at the classes. And then if there is space for anybody who's turning midweek or later on, maybe like the next week or something, send me an email or send the business office an email when we get that up and running, and we can make adjustments there. But that's how that kind of works there. And then we do need a gender as well. So these things are the only things you need to fill out when you're putting people into your roster. You can fill out other stuff if you want to, but we only care about this for registration purposes. So as you can see, I already have some logged in here, so that way I can play around with them. If you want to put people into your roster ahead of time, you are going to go back to your home page, which is that first page you see when you log in, and you can click Manage My Group. Here, you'll see the ones I already have in. I can hit the plus button. I can add in more. Again, there's a ton of stuff you can put in here, but all I care about is first name, last name, date of birth, and gender. For adult leaders, all we care about is first name, last name, gender, because they're not registering for badges with an age restriction. So first name, last name, gender, and that'll get them in the system. It will let you create a new person with just first and last name, because see how date of birth is optional, gender is optional. But when you get to summer camp and you try and put them into the roster, it's going to say, please add a date of birth, because we are requiring it for that specific event. So make sure you put those in ahead of time. So build this roster and get everybody in. If it doesn't matter who you add to this, if you have somebody who thinks they might be coming to camp, add them to the roster. This is just a list of people in your troop. This has nothing to do with adding them to summer camp registration. So get that all set up. If you have ones that you deleted in the past, you can click this and it'll show the deleted there. I don't have any in this account, but that's how you can show deleted ones if you want to restore them and bring them back in. All right, I'm going to go back to my home screen though, and I'm going to click on my summer camp week again, and then we're going to get to that registration screen again. So I'm going to hit either add participant or add this. Now I can hit it here because I'm an admin. If you haven't paid your $100 yet, it's not going to let you hit that when it comes up. So keep that in mind. But we're going to hit add participant, and we're going to register Jacob for merit badges today. So we're going to pick Jacob's name, and it's going to take us to this screen. If we need to make like an edit here, maybe we misspelled the name or something, you can make it here and it will update it on the roster as well. But I know everything's good here. Or maybe you picked him and if you haven't put a date of birth in yet, it's going to give you that opportunity to do that here. But if you click next and there's no date of birth, like for example, if I do this, it's going to say required. So I'm going to hit next because I've got those in. And it's going to ask me to pick one of my spots. So the only ones I have available are my Plan A, because that's the ones I have. I have 16 spots available that have not been registered for yet, not been a name added. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to hit next. And here is where it's going to let me pick classes. So all the classes that you see in the Leaders Guide are loaded into here. They're organized by time. So these are all my 9 a.m. classes. And then after those are done, it's going to go to 10. And 11 and so on. And then after that, they're organized alphabetically. And as you can see, this is a really long list. And so you might be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be scrolling for hours. No, you will not be. I have the trick for that, and this is the way to do things really quickly. So let's say they wanted to take archery at 3 p.m. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to my magnifying glass, my search button, and I'm going to click it. And it's going to open up a search window, and I'm going to start typing archery. And as you can see, as I type, it automatically sorts this list. And as I get to arch, that's all that's left. Well, search and rescue, because there's an arch in there. So as you can see, it sorts that list really quickly, and it's going to show me things for each class. So here it says 16 spots available. So we let 16 kids take archery. This will show you how many spots are available in the class based on the system at that given time. So you can see if a class is full or not too. It'll show full if it's already full. But I'm going to select what I say, 3 o'clock. So we're going to go down here to 3 o'clock, and I have a much shorter list to look at now, and I'm going to add archery at 3 o'clock. Now let's say they wanted to take SpaceX. So I'm going to start typing space exploration, and it's going to come up with my 2 SpaceX classes, and I'm going to add those. Let's say, so another class that's offered every single hour is rifle. So let's type in rifle. And as you can see, it's showing me only the 9, the 10, and 11 o'clock rifle, but it's offered at 9, 10, 11, 2, and 3. It's not showing me 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock badges because I already have those on my list. So it's already taking those off. But if I wanted to see, I could see down here, it says 2 conflicting classes. And here's my other 2 rifle classes that are conflicting with these time slots right here. So it'll only show you what you still have to register. It sorts it for you that way, but if you want to, you can see the conflicting ones down here. Now, if I had the whole list here, it would show all the classes at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, but because I'm only showing rifle, because I typed in rifle, it's only showing me what I'm searching for. Let's say they actually wanted to take rifle at 3, and we don't want to take archery at 3 anymore. I can actually show the conflicting classes and add the class, and it'll swap it. It'll take out archery, and it'll add rifle shooting instead. So it's going to add that to my list. So all the classes that I'm adding here are showing up on the sidebar. And let's say I really wanted to take archery at 9. So I'm going to go for archery now at 9 a.m. and add the class. You can see that some of these have fees. You won't have this manage button. You'll just have the remove button. So you can remove them over here. But that'll show you how much the fee is for if it does have a fee. You don't have to pay these when you do this. You can pay them later. That's my recommendation. So you just keep going through real quick. When you select these, this is the biggest thing. If you learn one thing from the training tonight, this is the one I want you to take home with you. When you select these, you do not have the classes yet. They are not set in stone. They are still available for other people to get. So if there's one spot left, it's going to let and everyone's trying to get it at that exact second. It's going to let everyone add it to their cart. Who gets it? The person who checks out first. Keep that in mind. I cannot tell you, every single year we do summer camp, and there's always one troop who adds all these to their cart and they forget to check out. And then all those badges they added to their cart are no longer available, and we have to try and find other badges for them. So make sure that you check out often, and that's my recommendation too here. So if you're trying to get certain badges that are hot badges for like some older scouts, and this is all they want and they don't have any alternative, register those people first. If there's a specific badge that they want to get, like ATV, which fills up really quickly, go in and just register them for ATV and check out. That way you know you have it set up, it's good, it's set in stone, and then go in later and add their other badges in. So that way you're not wasting time finding those other badges. So for example, I picked these badges for Jacob. I'm going to hit next. It's going to show me Jacob's final thing, and it's going to ask, do you want to pay for this stuff right now, or do you want to pay for anything right now? No, I don't want to pay anything. I'm going to pay $0 because I just want to get this done really quick. And I'm going to hit complete. And as you can see, it's going to say there are changes in your cart. You need to check out soon to finalize. So Jacob still does not have those merit badges. We have not checked out yet. At this point in time, if we feel comfortable and we feel like there was tons of spots, we could go back down here and add another participant and go through and add more merit badges to our cart and keep doing that. But my recommendation is only do 2 or 3 scouts at a time, or do 1 for each scout. Checking out's really quick. So what I'm going to do is, I know Jacob really wants these and I don't want to lose them. I'm going to go to checkout. It's going to show me my items, what we're getting for Jacob right here. So it's going to show that we're picking a plan A spot, and then we're adding these 3 badges. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and I'm just going to hit place order. It's not going to ask me for payment because I said I was paying $0. And then I'm going to hit close. As long as it goes through, Jacob has the badges. He's good to go, and everything is set in stone. If for some reason there was only like 1 spot left and somebody got it milliseconds before you, it's going to say there's errors in your cart. You need to fix those, and you have to go back and edit his registration and pick something else, and then redo your cart and then check out again. I know that people who have larger troops, I know that, there's a lot to go through for these to get these in, and you may be worried, hey, I want to get everybody what they want. Keep in mind that the amount of time it takes you to put things in, it's going to take that other person the same amount of time. So there's nobody going lightning fast. Everyone's going at the same speed, and being able to get stuff, should be relatively easy. I don't have too many people getting closed out of a ton of stuff they want, with the exception of some of those hot classes, like ATV specifically. If you have scouts who want to do that, register those scouts first and register them for ATV first, so that way it's done, out of the way, and you can focus on other things that offer, like leatherwork, that's offered every single hour and has lots of opportunities for that. But that's also the reason why I ask to get alternatives from a scout, because if they're coming out to camp and they have their one schedule and you can't get that specifically, it's always great to have a couple other listed there, so you can say, well, SpaceX is full, but they also wanted archery. I can get them that. Let's do that one then instead. So that way you're not holding it up and waiting a couple weeks before they get back to you to figure out, and then realizing that those spots are gone now too. Just to keep that in mind. Once we check out, it always takes us back to that screen. All we have to do is click on our reservation again, and we can go back in and start adding again. So I can add another scout now. If I want to, it's going to take us here. We can add Jimmy. We can go next. We'll pick our Plan A spot. Looks now that we have 15 left. So we had 16 total spots. We've already registered one youth, so we have 15 left to register. We'll go to classes. We can add classes in for him as well. As I add it, it'll get rid of all the 9 o'clocks. You saw that. And then it'll show me all the 10s. If for some reason the scout is not of age and it's an older scout class, I don't know what age I have for this guy. Let me see. I know the citizenships are a 14-year-old. Let's see if he's 14. I guess he is. But if he's not, it will stop you. It'll say, Scout is not old enough for this class. Please select another one. But he's good. We're not going to pay anything again. I highly recommend just not paying anything and just racking up the bill for those merit badge fees and paying those off in one lump sum, because it's a lot easier to do it that way and a lot quicker. We'll hit complete, and it'll take us back here to our payment screen, and we'll hit checkout, go down to the bottom, place the order, and we got those two. Everything was still open. If we ever want to take a look and see what we have registered for those scouts, now when we go down here, we can see those names starting to show up. So we add more, but these guys are already registered. I can click on them, and it'll take me to the registration. So Jacob has archery, SpaceX, and rifle. If I want to change these, I can hit manage registration, and I can either cancel it. So let's say Jacob decided not to come to camp anymore, but somebody else is taking his spot. I can cancel that right here, and then I can add a new person to that spot. Or let's say he just wants to add a badge or change a badge. I can hit edit, right back through all these prompts. Back to the classes. I can remove archery, and now I can pick the one he wants, which is what, athletics maybe. Hit next. Don't pay anything. And then I'm going to check out, because it's not set in stone until I check out. Don't worry about that. I just don't want to get a bunch of emails. And now you can see when I go back in, when I click on Jacob, his registration is updated. Now he has athletics. So that's how you edit those. You can also add your leaders in. So you want to add your leaders' names in as you know them. At a bare minimum, we just want you to register them so we know who's coming. So we'll pick one of those leader spots. You can register ahead of time for some of these in here are mine for admin guys, but you can register for like Safe Zone Defense, Battlecraft Safety, if you want to do that ahead of time. These are unlimited, so there's no space in these. Like, it's not like you're going to get blocked out. We'll take as many people as they show up. But if you want to do it ahead of time and be on the roster already, you can do it, or you can just come to camp and show up to the class. Leader classes don't have a limit on how many we take, and if you show up to the first class, we'll get you on the roster, we'll get you plugged into the system. So if you want to do it ahead of time, you can. If not, don't worry about it. The one thing to keep in mind here that you can add for the leaders as well would be the CPAP battery. So if you have people in your troop who need a CPAP machine to sleep, We do have inverters that we can drop off with a solar charged battery. So all you do is plug right into it. No, you don't need to bring anything else but your CPAP. And those we have available at $25 per person. And we'll drop those off at the site for you. So that's how you request those for leaders. So keep that in mind. Some of these though are just for admin stuff. So you may not see everything you see here on my screen. We don't want to pay anything. We're just registering the leader, and then we're going to check out again. And we'll place the order. And now we can see when we go back in that our leader is listed here. If you do partial leaders and you let us know the names, we will already plug them in here and we'll plug in a discount for them. So that way they're not paying the full week. And then that way it'll come off your total bill before you pay it. If you add any of those products for campsite equipment, it shows up here. So that's where that would show up. Okay, so that is the merit badge registration in a nutshell. The last thing I want to talk about is reports. Keep in mind, if you guys have any questions tonight, please just throw those in the chat window. I'm going to go through that after we're done with the reports, and we'll go through everybody's questions on anything tonight. So that way we can take a look at those and I can answer them all. But the last thing I really want to talk about is some of the reports that are available through the system. So your report window is right here, and you click this and it'll create a drop down of all the reports that you can pull for your summer camp reservation. One of the ones that I use all the time is this invoice report. So this is going to show you a snapshot in detail of basically your financial summary for summer camp at this current time when you pull it. So it'll give us more info on this $7,080 that we owe. So we'll download it, open it, it'll bring it up as a PDF in our web browser, and it's going to show everything basically for summer camp. So it's going to show that I have Plan A scouts. I have 16, because that's how many I said I was bringing. And they're $428 a piece right now because that's the early bird rate. After the early bird deadline, any spots that are not paid for yet by early bird will be increased in pricing. And you'll see another line that says Plan A scouts, and it'll show how many weren't paid for at the new rate. So keep that in mind. And then it's going to give us the total for that line. So that's $6,848 for our scouts. So that's our camp fees there. Remember, it calculates our free leaders automatically. So we said we're bringing 3 leaders, and we said we're bringing 16 scouts. That qualifies us for 2 free leaders, one right off the bat, and one for, because we're over 10. So it's showing us 2 at $0. So it's not charging us for those. If I adjusted my numbers down to 9, it would make this cheaper, but it would also only give me 1 free leader. It would charge me for the other 2. So keep that in mind. That's how that works. But we have 1 leader that we do have to pay for, and that leader is listed here at the regular rate of $215 based on the meal plan we selected. Jacob, he registered for a badge that has a charge to it. So he's showing up right here, and then the badge is Space Exploration, and it's $17. Let's say you also had Archery at $6. It would just show up right next to that, Archery 6, and it would total Jacob's total. So if you need to go back to the parents or the scouts and let them know how much they owe, those are going to show right here. If you have more scouts, they're just going to show up below that on another line with the name. If you have scouts that have camper ships, it's going to show up as a negative here too to give you an idea, and there'll be a little asterisk up here with why that one was cheaper with an additional line for a scout that was cheaper. If you have partial leaders, it's going to show leader spot. It'll show a leader spot at a discounted rate, and then the leader will show up down here with the discount based on how many days they're coming. So that's where that shows up too. So anything special with a per person name will show up down here. It'll total this whole thing for you and let you know exactly how much you owe for summer camp. So right now we owe in total $780. That's always going to be the total that we owe. And then down here, it'll start taking it off. As you make payments, it'll list them here and it'll list how they were made. So if you list them online, it'll say via e-check or credit card. If you do it in Council Other, it'll show you that you made it via check, and we'll write the check number in there for you. And they'll just basically show line by line of negatives as it comes off the balance. If you have a credit on your account, so for example, let's say you overpaid for something, it'll show your credit. This account has a $1 credit right now. I don't know why, but it does. It probably was using it to show people how it worked. So that's where that'll show, or it'll show $0. So the credit's there. When you go to check out, if you pay for anything, it'll automatically take that credit off first and then just charge you the remaining balance. So it'll use your credit first. But that's that report there. And to show you how that works too, like let's say that I want to pay that $100. I can do that here and hit save and it'll add it to my cart. I can go to my cart and you'll see that it's $100 plus that credit card convenience fee. Let's say I want to pay it via e-check. Now it's $100, but it's only charging me $99 because it says I have a $1 credit. So I can use my credit. It's automatically going to use it. I could keep the credit if I want to and say just I want to pay all of it, don't use the credit. But if I want to use the credit, I can leave that on and then it'll use my $1. So that's how that works. If you want to see how much credit you have, another way you can do that, I'm going to empty my cart first. But another way that you can do that is when you go to your home screen, the last one we haven't looked at is previous orders. That one's going to show us all the orders we put in. If it's a $0 order, it means that we just put an order in for like merit badges or something, and it'll show like that. Or when we registered Jacob for athletics, it'll show all those. But if you make a payment in a dollar amount, it'll also show the dollar amount. So you can pull a receipt here if you want to. Like, for example, I could click one on and get the receipt for that if I paid money. But you can see right here, I have available credit. I have $1. You won't see this refund and convenience fee, though. You'll see the dollar. So that's how that works. Let's go back, though, to our summer camp. So we'll click home again and go back in here and look at some other reports. So we talked about the invoice report. You can pull a participant roster. So this is kind of nice if you want to pull this for summer camp, and it'll give you a roster of everyone coming to camp. If you like to have that for troop records or something like that, that's always nice. You can also pull class schedules. So these are really cool. So if you do the class schedule PDF, it's going to pull a report. And I actually opened it up a different way. So give me 1 second. All right. So it's actually going to pull a report that looks like this. And that is going to give you a page per scout. Or actually, no, this one is actually just going to give you a full report of all your scouts and what classes they're in. And it'll just list them one after the other. So if you want that, that'll give you that way. If you pull a report, though, that's class scheduled by person, same exact thing, but this one is going to give you 1 page per scout. Really awesome report that you could pull right before summer camp and print out, and then you can hand these out to each scout so they have their class schedule with them on Monday morning when they need to go to classes. So that's a nice thing to do there if you want to use that. You can also, if you like to use Excel, pull that information into Excel or a CSV file if that makes sense to you. So that's there as well. This one, the requirements completed PDF, this is the one that we're going to be pulling for you at the end of the week and printing out and giving to you. And it will show your scouts with their names, but it's also going to show all the requirements they got and whether they got a complete or a partial. So that way you have that record for you when you leave. So that's what you're going to get. We do not do traditional blue cards at camp. We do all online now. So you're going to get a report with all your scouts on it, and that's how it's going to look. There is a report in here for traditional blue card printouts, and it will show you like the blue card all set up and good to go. And when we put requirements in the system, they'll show up automatically filled out if you like to do that. But most troops are not using those anymore. They're just putting things directly into Scoutbook. So there's front and back for those. New this year, so this is brand new this year, Scoutbook export. So you're able to export now a CSV file, and we're going to give you instructions on how you can import that directly into Scoutbook so you don't have to type those all in by hand. So that's new this year. It's directly exportable and importable into Scoutbook, and that's what that report's going to be. Another thing that's really great about these reports is they're live reports. We track merit badge records through the Tenor system. So at any given time while you're at camp, or if you're at home and you want to check during the week, you can always pull this requirements completed report or the requirements completed Excel, and you're going to get a snapshot of how much is in the system at that time. We try and put stuff in every night by 9 p.m. So that way the next morning at like Tuesday, you can see all Monday's stuff and what was done, attendance and requirements. So you can pull those anytime you want to check up on your scouts. So those are the reports there. Another thing, when you're going in and looking at a scout, like if you go in to edit them, you can pull their schedule and their schedule only. So let's say, you know, Jacob lost one or something and you want to pull this. You know, we have computers available and printers available at camp in the computer lab, and maybe Jacob needs a new one. You could go down there and just pull his schedule, and you'd have that available, just his one page that you could print out for him if you didn't want to pull the whole report and find his. That's where that's at as well. So there's the reports page, and that's all the reports that you can pull for camp. So play around with those as well. That is there. Let me open up the chat and take a look and see if we have any questions. So let's see. So first question is, how do adults sign up to work at camp during their week at camp to get free camping? So occasionally we offer volunteer discounts or free weeks for free time at camping to volunteer for certain things. We probably don't have that list available yet on what we're looking for, but we'll be emailing stuff out as it becomes available. The point of contact for that is going to be Chuck Walker. So he is the one who does that, and I'm going to put his email in the chat right now. And I would reach out to him closer to your week of camp, and they can let you know what we have available and if we're doing anything like that for like free camping, because we have done that the last couple of years. So perfect. Can two people log in at the same time with the same user ID and password? So the answer is, yeah, you can, but it's really going to screw up the system. So it's not going to keep you and say somebody's already logged in. You can log in with more than one username, but don't do it. What it'll do is, if you guys are trying to do merit badge registration or something, every time somebody adds something to the cart, it's going to replace the other person's cart and completely clean it out. So do not do that. It will cause you tons of frustration. Only have one person logged in at a time to do registration, set stuff up. You can share the password with other people if you want to have other people manage it at other times. Just make sure you have communication with your troop. Make sure that you're not double logging in. Now, if you have two troops coming, like a boys troop and a girls troop, those are two separate accounts. So you could have one person logged in on one person logged in on the other, and register both of those at the same time. But do not have two people logged in at the same time. It'll let you do it, but it will cause you lots of frustration. Where do you pay your deposit? We talked about that. If there's $100, it'll show if you still have money due. So it's a $100 deposit. You can just go in here, pay other amount, and add $100 to your cart, save it, and it adds it to your cart. Once you check out, it'll disappear. It actually already disappeared because it's in our cart. But if we empty it, you'll see it comes right back. So that's how you do that. How do you add an adult that is only coming 2 to 3 days? Talked about that as well. Remember that we can add those in, but we have to do that on our end to put the discount in first. So if you want to pay online, send us an email with the leader's name and how many days they're coming, and we'll get them plugged in, and then you can go and pay, and we'll adjust this price. Or if you want to do it through the mail, you can list them on the back of the fee transmittal form, and then we'll program them in when we add that payment after we've received it in the mail. Or if you're coming into the scout shop and you want to pay in person, also do it that way, and we'll add it in then. We're sharing a campsite. Can we get the other troops info so we can coordinate requesting for the site? Yeah, so I'm going to be sending out an email to everybody who's sharing, letting them know that they're in a shared site. For privacy reasons, we do not share info with other troops right off the bat. But if you're sharing a site and you emailing me and saying, hey, we're sharing, can you please share my info? We will forward it on. So for example, it looks like Ryan asked that. Ryan, once we send out that sharing thing, or you can send me an email right now and just say, hey, we're sharing with this is our troop number. What I will do is I will reach out to the troop you're sharing with and saying, here's Ryan's email and phone number info or whatever you want to share. They wanted to try and connect with you. Feel free to use this to connect with them if you want to. And then they have the choice on whether they want to connect with you or not. But we used to run into issues where people, we'd share email addresses and then people would be upset. So now we need to get permission first. But yeah, we would be happy to forward your info on though through our email system. So just do it that way and we will see if they want to reach out. The registration page, we looked at that again, I think, but just for if you missed it again, you just click the plus here or add participant and it takes you right to the registration page. Notice also, we didn't talk about this, but as you add people, they disappear off this list. So it's only going to show you what you have left, so you don't have to go through all of them, which is kind of nice. Leaders class signups, low and high coat. I don't know if those are in the system. Those I know are, so those are sign up at camp. So low, high cope, outpost, things like that. Those will be all paper rosters that you can sign up for when you get to camp. The rosters will be on the bulletin board at the HQ building right off the parking lot. And you can start signing up for those the second you arrive. So if you're interested in one of those, just throw your name on the list and we'll get you on the roster. I saw ATV said 14 to 15. You have scouts who are 16. Great question. So ATV is a very interesting class. So there's lots of rules through the national BSA for ATV and how it can be offered at summer camps. And it's offered also in partnership with the ATV Safety Organization, which is a private organization through the US. So when we teach those classes, we're actually teaching the ATV Safety Institute classes, and we have to follow their rules on class ages. So the age rules for those classes are, when you're doing youth classes, you can have up to 8 people in a class, and that is no more than 8. And then no more of those, and you can have any more than 4 of them be under the age of 16. So for an example, we can get 4 16-year-olds in a class. We could get 8 16-year-olds in a class. You know, we can do as many 16-year-olds as you want, but 14, 15-year-olds, we can only have a max of 4 out of the 8, if that makes sense. So the way ATV is listed in there, it actually lists 2 classes per hour. One of them's a 14, 15 class, and the other one's 16 plus, and there's 4 spots for each. So it actually limits how many 14, 15s can come in. Here's my trick for ATV, and if you didn't sign up for this training, you missed out, because this is a great trick. So if you get in there and you have a 16 or 17-year-old who's trying to take the ATV class, and the 16-year-old spot is full, but there is still spots in the 14 and 15-year-old class, you can take one of those spots. This was the only way we could set up the system to do it automated and make it work well, because it doesn't let us like limit, you know, that specifically. If you're 14 and 15, though, you have to take a 14 and 15 spot. It won't let you take a 16 spot because you're too young. You know, use your date of birth. But the 16-year-old theoretically could take both spots, and we'll take them because we can have as many 16-year-olds in a class as you want. So if you see that the 16-year-old class is full, there's already 4 in there, but there's a space in the 14, 15, take that space. It's yours to take, and that'll work for us too. So there's the ATV secret that you got to learn today by going to the training. Love the import-export for Scout Book. I don't believe you need additional BSA ID for that. I think it works on names as well, but let me check on that. I will definitely check into it. This is brand new for us as well. So I just attended a training on this 2 weeks ago, and they were supposed to be sending us some more information and more instructions on how that works. But I do think I remember hearing that if the ID was not there, it would also do name recognition as a backup. Assuming that there's only one name. And basically, when you try and do the import, it'll say, I see you have a Steve Porter here. Is this Steven Porter? And then you can say yes or no. And then it'll let you review it before it does the import. But it still does it a lot quicker than typing everything in. But I'll double check on that. Let's see. You have an alternate leader listed and their email, but they're not receiving the emails. How do you solve this? So you should be receiving the emails. Couple things to check. First, check to make sure their email address is entered correctly. Occasionally, you'll have a period in the wrong spot, or something will be like one letter off. So check that first with the person. Other thing, talk to that person and have them check their spam folder and make sure that it's not going to their spam, and make sure that our email address is an approved email address. But it's usually one of those 2 things. The system sends it out to the exact address you put in there. So check that first. If you're still having issues, let me know. But I don't have any other settings or anything I can change on my end that would change anything there. So that's kind of the way that works. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. You know, we've been with Tenerife for somebody said thanks for this. This is way better than they've seen at other council camps. So we've used Tenerife now for a while now, and we're consistently trying to teach people how to use it because we really enjoy using it too. So thank you. If you register for 3 classes for a scout, can you go back later and add the other 2? Yes, you can always go back. You can edit a scout, add classes, remove classes, mix the schedule around. When you do that, it's just going to give you offerings on what's available at that time. So if you do it like 3 weeks later after sign up open, you may have less that's available, but you're always able to change things. Keep in mind that when you delete a class, that also is only going to take effect once you process your cart. So while you do have to rush to process your cart to get a class and make sure you get it, when you want to move some stuff around, like for example, if I'm in here and I go to manage registration and edit, next, and I remove athletics, let's say like we want athletics another time, but we were afraid to get rid of it because we have the last spot. When I remove it, it's not going to take it off for anybody to get again until I process my cart. So I can sit here and remove and add and do things and manipulate this. And anything that I remove or take them out of a class, it's not going to take them out of a class till I process my cart either. So to go, oh crap, no, I do want that athletics. It's still going to be there. Nobody's going to be able to take it because I didn't process my cart and free up the class for somebody else. So that's kind of a nice thing as well, is that if you ever want to remove and add something else, anything you remove is going to stay available until you process the cart. Now, if you remove athletics, process the cart, it's now open grabs for anybody. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, that's how you would do it. You could remove over here, add, change it, hit next, and then just process your cart. And as long as all the classes that you wanted that are the new ones are free, you're good to go. So yeah, I could remove him just like this. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions for me tonight in the chat? I think I got everything taken care of. If I missed your question, put it back in again because I think I got them all, but I'm looking through it right now. All right. That's all I'm seeing for right now. If you do have other questions, remember, I'll put this in the chat right now. Is my email, which is steve.porter@scouting.org. Feel free to email me. You can also call the office at 419-459-4962 and click the summer camp button, and that'll take it to my phone. I work out at camp every single day. I do have other stuff that I do that's outside the office though at camp. So I'm not always sitting at my desk, but if I'm here, I will definitely pick up and I'd be happy to walk you through something. If you don't get me, leave me a voicemail. I usually check that once every day or every other day, and I'll give you a call back and I can walk you through the process. If working over the phone is easier than doing it via email. But yeah, I'm happy to do that as well. I got another one. Registration, it opens at 4 p.m. So that's any day that the day that it opens is usually on a Sunday. So to find your registration, all you have to do is log in. When you see your registration, it'll show you registration opens like here for individual users, June 4th at 4 p.m. Now this is for week 7. Yours will open for whatever week you're registered. So make sure you log in and look. It's a different date per week. So any other questions before we sign off today? All right. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you coming here tonight. You got some great tips and tricks. If you forget anything, I'm going to put this up online afterward and probably up tomorrow or the next day, and we'll send a link out. Update your email thing tonight if you have somebody who wants to get it that's not in there yet, and that's what I'm going to use to send it out with. So that's how you can get it to the people if you need to. And I'll send that out sometime tomorrow or at latest Friday. So, all right. Thanks so much, guys. I am